What is up, Wholesale 2 Million family? We're back with another subscriber first wholesale deal interview, and I am excited for this one as well because Keith was in our web class, to see him from going in there with no deals to now closing his first deal, and it's actually a back-to-back. So, Keith, how much was your first wholesale deal, dude?
3,000 and 5,000.
A 3,000 and 5,000?
Yes.
It's like back-to-back, right?
Back to back, closed the same day.
Nice. Now, Keith, where does the lead source came from?
One was from a Postcard, which I learned in your web class, and the other one was from a cold call from a VA.
One of them is from a Postcard, okay, and then the other one was from cold calling, right?
Yes.
Boom. You guys, please, if this video add any value to your life, to your business today, please show my guest, Keith, some love. He's been hustling and grinding from this and finally closed his first deal. I'm pumped. I'm happy for him. I'm excited for him, and obviously many more to come. So please show my guest some love. Smash the thumbs up and comment below and let me know, what's one takeaway, or comment below and say congrats to Keith. That'll be awesome. Now, before I let Keith take over, I want those of you to understand this. Now, this is not for everyone, but I am taking on 20 people exclusively. I'm doing another web class, happen on December 14th. It's a Saturday, December 14th, 20 people only, right? It does cost $2,000 per person or per couple. So maybe you have a business partner. But on that day, I'll be able to share with you everything, all the systems, all the program, all the strategies, all the marketing tips, finding cash buyer. Maybe you want to get into another virtual market or you want to do it virtually. I'll show you from A to Z exactly how to do this. But I'll share with you all the tools, all the systems, all the companies we use, all the markings. And it'll be a web class like this, so I'll be able to answer any questions that you have. My goal is to unlock anything that's holding you back from getting to the next level. It's pretty much all across the board. It's for anyone that's, you're either starting out, you haven't done your first deal, you're lost, you're confused, you're overwhelmed, you don't have an action plan, a clear action plan of what you need to do. Or maybe you have closed some deals, but it's not consistent and you're trying to scale up to get to the next level and you want the deals to close more consistently every single month, or maybe you're trying to get to the 6-figure a month. Join me on that day. I'll give you everything that you need. So whatever it is that you feel like right now that is holding you back, or that missing link that you're trying to figure it out, I will be able to resolve and be the missing link to your puzzle on that day. And so if that's you I'm talking to, shoot an email over to wholesale2millions, wholesale2millions@gmail.com, and I'm ready to rock and roll with you. So anyways, with that being aside, you guys, let me help me welcome Keith. What's going on, buddy?
Not much, man. Just chilling, Khang. Just chilling.
Just chilling in a feeling, right? Chilling.
Yes, sir. Just
So Keith, what's that, man?
Now, just trying to get some more deals. Actually, I got a couple of more deals under contract, so looking to close out.
Dude, I love it, man. Dude, seeing you in the class with, obviously just starting out trying to get your first one, man, to now closing 2 deals and many more on the contract, dude. So, dude, I'm happy and I'm very, very excited for you, Keith. And first of all, man, I want to say congrats, for putting in the work, for putting in the hustle, for making it happen, because we all know it. Right? Knowledge, information without execution, without you putting in the work, it's worthless.
Very much so. Very much so.
So Keith, could you share with us, man? Take us back to your story, man.
Man, my story, I work in oil and gas, but I got a pretty good job. I can't complain. I made really, really good money, but I kind of work a crazy schedule, it's shift work, it's days and nights. It's only 14, it's only like 14 days a month. So I'm off like 14 days a month. But, I always wanted to get into real estate. So back in March, I think I heard the, was it Dan Merrill? I think I heard his infomercial on the radio about coming to a seminar about wholesaling. So, me, I'm kind of questioning it. It was free. Of course, it was free. The first was free. But my dad always told me, look, man, ain't nothing free in life. You got to pay something. You got to pay some type of way. So I said,
hey, Keith, dude, I don't mean to cut you off, Keith, but could you put on a mic or something like that? Because it's a little bit hard to like kind of hear you, man.
Okay.
Yeah, so because I feel like there's a little echo in the back, so it's a little bit hard to hear you, man. But I'm loving it, dude.
Is that
Um, it's still a little weak.
oh, man. Hello?
Could you see something?
Can you hear me?
Yeah. I mean, like, I can hear you, but it's not super clear. So, I mean, if that's the way that it got to be, then let's just go ahead and move forward, Keith.
Okay. I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Okay. That's a little bit better, bro.
I'm not sure what's going on. Can you hear me now?
Yep. I think it's a little bit better now, dude.
Okay. Go ahead. Go on.
Yep.
Yeah, so I started researching about the damn Euro class, and I found out that it wasn't totally free. You know, the first class is free. The second class, I think, was like $199. Then the 2,500 was the third class, and then of course they pitch you, you know, like to join that program, which was like 25,000, 35,000, and 50,000. Just, you know, at that time I wasn't ready to, you know, commit that type of money to it because I wasn't really 100% for sure, you know, is what I wanted to do. So I got on YouTube, and of course, the first person I found was Max Maxwell. So
Yeah.
I started watching his videos, and then I ran into another guy by the name of a younger guy by the name of Kevin Canuck. And then I ran into you. And the difference between Max, he gives a lot of knowledge, and you know, he gave a lot of knowledge, but what attracted me to you was just your enthusiasm about you know about wholesaling, man. It was like watching your videos. You were really enthusiastic about everything you did. You know, you had that energy, and that's what I needed. You know, I didn't. So I really just got more into watching you, doing my homework. I bought a couple wholesaling books, like a book it's called "If You Can't Wholesale After This." I read that. Just constantly watching YouTube videos, man. And then I think I actually bought some bandit signs, and I actually did a visit on one house. I didn't get it under contract later. Of course, later, but my offer was a little too low. The second house, a guy called me from a bandit sign. And I actually got it under contract. It was a house in Fort Arthur, Texas. It had some actually a lot of flood damage to it, but it was a house in like 2 lots, and I think I got it under contract for maybe like about 60,000. But the ARV was like around I think 150. But it was a house in 2 lots, so I never got that deal closed. It kind of fell through. You know, there was a lot wrong with the house. It was actually a pretty big house, and they had added some stuff like a 3,200 foot greenhouse was built onto it.
Hey, Keith, man. Let's see if there's anything that we can do with the audio a little bit.
Can I switch to another computer?
Yep.
I have a laptop, and it's probably a lot better than what this is.
Yeah, man. Yep. So, yeah. So basically, Keith, all you need to do is you can keep this on, or you can exit it out, and then you can jump on, get the other laptop, and then use the same link to jump in, man.
Okay. Give me 1 second.
Sure. All right, I'm going to try to buy some time while Keith is going to do his thing. For those of you who recently closed your first wholesale deal, you can shoot me an email over to wholesale2millions@gmail.com and show me the money. Show me the proof. So send me the picture of the checks, and I'd love to get you onto the channel, right, to share, obviously, to have you share with everybody your stories. how you get your first wholesale deal done. And the reason why we do this, man, I mean, or, the reason why we do this is because I want to help motivate and inspire those of you who are going through that tough time, the struggles, trying to get that first wholesale deal. The first one's always the tough one because you're trying to learn the process and you're trying to take the action, but you don't know exactly what you need to do. Like you're just kind of everywhere, right? And once you're able to close that first one, now everything becomes real to you, right? First, it's like, can I really do this? Is this for real? And until you do your first one, everything becomes so real to you. That's when the beast inside of you comes out, and you're just going to, you're just going to crush it. And I know a lot of you right now are going through that tough time, and you're 6 months in, you're a year in, and you haven't got your first one. The only tips, the only advice that I can give you, and you probably hear this multiple times already, is don't give up. You see, is that things are going to come up in your life, right? Maybe family issue, finance issue. Things are going to come up, man. That's going to try to pull you away from your goals, from your dreams. You got to understand that when you decided to be an entrepreneur, when you decided, you know what, I want to build a life for my own. I want to build my own financial freedom. I don't want a 9-to-5, a job. I don't want to work for somebody. You got to understand what you're doing is you're going against the current. You're doing what majority of people are not doing. So guess what, man? You're going to face battles and circumstances. You're going to be challenged. You're going to be tested like no other, just to see if you have, right? Just to see if you have that ability, dude, just to see if you can withstand and if you deserve it. You see, success don't come for free, man. It comes with a price. And, to have things that other don't, you must do things that other people, like to have things that other people don't have, you must willing to do things that other people don't want to do, right? And the thing is, tough time don't last. Tough people do. So I'm telling you, man, you just gotta keep on going and take it each day at a time, even a baby step. Even if you wake up and you be like, Khang, man, I don't really feel like doing anything today, man. I really feel discouraged. I just want you to understand that the seeds that you plant today, you might not harvest it a month later, 2 months later. But if you keep on watering it, you keep on doing the thing that you're supposed to do, I promise you, listen to me. One day, that seed will grow and you will harvest, right? And you will harvest all the hard work that you have put in, all the sacrifices, all the pain that you are going through right now. Dude, you already going through the pain. Why are you giving up, right? You just got to keep on pushing forward. And that's what separates the winner between the loser. It's the loser gave up too early, too soon. The winner, they just keep on going at it. Dude, there's nothing smart. Dude, there's nothing smart about me, man. I'm just an average, normal guy, high school dropout, was once called a loser or failure, that I was never going to make it in life, man. But what I did was I have the work ethic. And when I decided, figure out what I wanted to do, I just put my head down and I just go at it like a madman. I just learn and apply. I learn and I apply. I learn and apply. Like, just like I was telling you earlier, knowledge without execution is really worthless. All right. And you cannot do the same thing and expect to get a different results, which means every single day you're working at your job. And if you don't do anything different, your life is not going to change. So you must make a decisions. And once you make a decisions, you must make a commitment. I believe that your life can't change overnight. Success doesn't happen overnight, but one decisions can change the course of your life like that. Once you make a decision, man, you got to stay committed. Committed means no matter what, right? I mean, to me, success is like a marriage, right? Once you find somebody that you truly fall in love, obviously, you get married and then you make a commitment to each other, right? Through death, through as part of whatever it is. But so many people are not truly committed. They thought that, you get into the marriage thing, it's all rainbows and stars, but it's not, It's not. It's the battle that you fight through each other that makes you stronger, right? That makes your marriage stronger. And whoever withstand all that pain and all that suffering, all that, that as a couple you're going through, that's the power couple, right? Dude, life is not easy, right? Success is not easy. Trying to get into the 1% is not easy. The 3% is not easy. But I promise you, and we both know this, that is worthless. or it's worth it. I don't mean to say worthless. That it's worth it. All right. So once again, man, I mean, Keith was in my web class, and to see him, going from, lost, confused, overwhelmed, stressing out, not knowing anything, to now closing his first, obviously, 2 deals back to back, and to lock more property up on the contract, to me, it's absolutely, it's absolutely amazing. So, and Keith obviously the one that puts in the work and make it happen. Obviously the info, the knowledge is great, but I'm so happy and I'm so proud of him. And for those of you who's looking to change your life, who's looking to take your life to the next level, right? You're sick and tired of that job or doing the same thing, and you can't seem to get this thing figured out, and you're tired of trying to figure this out all on your own. Man, join me on that day, December 14th. I promise you, man, I'm going to change the course of your life, right? I'm going to give you all the knowledge, all the info, everything that you needed to be successful, to systemize your business, to have the right proper system, the right marketing tactic, to find motivated seller, find cash buyer. I'll give you everything, all the tools, all the program that we use. So it's, like I said, it does cost $2,000 per person or per couple. Shoot an email over to wholesale2millions@gmail.com. Keith, are you ready to go again, buddy?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you, but it seemed like there's an echo. You think that you can exit the other one out? Here, let me just remove it. There you go. Keith.
Is that better?
Oh, dude, way better, man.
Okay. I'm sorry about that, man.
Hey, no problem. All right, for those of you, here it is. Back to Keith. Right back to you, bro.
Yeah, so like I was saying, first deal I got under contract, that didn't close, man. It was just a lot of problems with it. Coming to find out, the greenhouse was on the city's list to demo. Had multiple people interested in it. Really, I need to go down on the price. I kind of had it at $60,000 because I was looking at the house and I thought the house was worth maybe like $30,000, and the 2 lots were worth like $15,000 a piece because they were buildable. And that deal fell through, and that's when I heard you talking about, the 5K class, and I had a little extra cash sitting around, and I always believe in cutting that learning curve in half, man. So I reached out to you guys, and man, got into the 5K class, and that was probably the best thing that ever happened to me.
Keith, awesome, man. Hey, I want to say thank you so much. And obviously, I appreciate that you took the leap of faith, make the investment, and I'm glad that it paid off, bro. So now, Keith, let's talk about your first deal, bro.
So the first one was actually it was a duplex that one of the guys called back from one of the postcards that I sent out. Him and another guy had bought the duplex, and the upstairs was totally finished, but the downstairs needed to be finished. And they were both like carpenters, so they were they'd done a lot of the work themselves on the property. But they just kind of were bumping heads with getting the bottom section finished. So they had just agreed to sell it. So when he reached out to me, I went over and looked at it, and like I said, the top one was totally finished. The bottom one was framed out. It had the electrical, some of the plumbing was done. It wasn't completely, but it was framed out, the same as the top, which was like a 2-bedroom, 1 bath. The top was actually rented at the time for, I think it was rented out for like $950 a month. I went over and looked at it. I think I got it under contract then for like around around 140. I got it under contract for like 140. I pitched it out to some of my buyers. A lot of people were interested in it, but as they looked at it, they just found some things like wrong. Like the guy had told me that it was
it was metered for electricity. They had separate meters for electricity, but the water part hadn't been done. So that kind of that kind of broke off a lot of deals, man. And it was a lot of the work, you know, it was like my first time really just looking at construction, you know, in that state and looking at the plumbing. You know, when the buyer's walking through, of course, they bring in their guys to look at everything. And you can see a lot of the work, I don't think it had been permitted. I don't think the plumbing section had been permitted. The electrical was probably the only thing in the whole house that had been permitted. I think the guys were actually just, you know, kind of doing the work themselves, and we're going to, you know, sheetrock everything and finish everything themselves. But like I said, they started bumping heads with each other, and then they just decided to sell the property.
Gotcha. Now, Keith, this one came from Postcard or cold calling?
The Postcard.
Postcard, nice. Okay, so it came from the Postcard.
Yeah, it was actually the Postcards from Go Big Printing, which you introduced to us in the 5K class, and it was like one of my first campaigns.
Good,
one
man.
Of my first campaigns.
And how much money did you spend on the Postcard?
I think that whole was like $643.
$643 for a $3,500 return?
Yes.
Not bad, huh?
No, not bad at all.
Okay, so Keith, you got under contract for $140, and what did you estimate the rehab to be?
I said about 30,000.
Okay, so about 30,000, and then how much did you send it out to the buyer for?
I think like 148.
Gotcha. Okay, so you sent out, and what's the ARV?
It was like 230, like 230 something, 230.
Okay, let's just go. Let's just go 230. Okay, so now when the seller received the Postcard and the seller calls you, Keith, did you lock it up over the phone, or you went out and looked at the property?
Well, that one I actually went out and looked at, and it was just because it was pretty close to me, so I wanted to go out and look at it.
Okay, and now how many bedroom and bathrooms?
It was just 2 duplexes. They were 2-in-1.
2 duplex.
Well, it was a duplex, but it was 2 apartments. The upstairs was a 2-in-1, and the bottom one was supposed to be a 2-in-1.
Okay, so it's a duplex, 2 bedroom, 1 bath per unit.
Yes.
Okay, top and bottom.
Yes.
Okay, so it's a duplex, 2 bedroom, 1 bath up top, 2 bedroom, 1 bath on the bottom.
Yes. Got it.
Okay, and do you know roughly the square footage?
Like 1,500 square feet.
Per side or divided by?
Per apartment, like 775 per apartment.
Gotcha. Okay, so let's just make it easy. So 700 square feet per unit. Mm-hmm. And now, obviously, as a duplex, the buyer that goes in and buy this property, are they going to keep it as a rental, Keith, or are they flipping it?
No, they would pretty much keep it as a rental.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay, so basically, the reason why I asked that, you guys, to Keith, is because if the buyer's going to keep this as a rental, they're probably going to do the rehab as a rental grade, not as a flip grade, right?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes, exactly.
And what needed to be done to this property, Keith?
So the plumbing needed to be finished. Pretty much, the plumbing needed to be finished. It needed to be sheetrocked. Cabinets need to be put in. Kitchen need to be put in. But the guy had most of the stuff. He had most of the stuff on the property to actually finish the bottom. So he was giving you like the tub, the sheetrock, the sink, the cabinets. He had all the material down there to finish it. Like I said, him and the guy just got into it and they never finished anything. So you were getting pretty much everything you needed to finish it. And it he actually had an AC unit there too that he was going to install. Kind of put a splitter in to where the upstairs and downstairs could share one AC unit.
Gotcha.
So he had everything there to finish it.
Gotcha. So now, Keith, let me ask you: is this a regular seller, or is he kind of an investor?
I wouldn't say investor because he had that property and then he had one other house. So, okay. I mean, I guess you would say he was kind of starting investing or
got it.
Something like that.
Okay, no problem. Got it. And the reason why I asked Keith that is for those of you who listen is because when you come across like an investment property or they take title as an LLC, the chances are, they are investors. Like they're not going to sell it at a discount. But the thing is, you just never know. Investor is also human. Human also get into financial situation. I'm telling you, man, when I was fixing flipping, I was an investor, but I got myself in a very, very desperate situation. Okay. So even if they're investors, if situation comes up, they would have to sell the property at a discount. So don't disqualify them. If there's motivation, right? Obviously now they understand a little bit more, probably earnest money and all that, but don't disqualify them. If they're Asian, disqualify them.
Why is that?
Yeah. So Keith, okay, man. So 700. Okay. So 700 square feet, top and bottom. So the seller has all the material there to finish the bottom, but not the top, correct?
Yes. The top was already totally finished.
Oh, the top is already done. Just the bottom.
Yes. Yeah, it just needs to do the bottom section. The top was totally done. He actually had a tenant in there at the time when I first met him, but he was trying to get them out because they were, being late on the rent. So he was trying to get them to move out. So by the time I actually sold it, they were gone.
Ah, I gotcha. Oh, gotcha. Okay, so Keith, how much can we get in rent per unit?
So he was rented for $950, but I think you could have got $1,100. But for one thing, it's in Galveston, and Galveston is a beach town. So it was close to the city college. It was only like 2 blocks from the city college, which also made it something that an investor would want because he knew he was renting out.
Yep, absolutely. So Keith, 1,100 is market rent.
Yes.
Per unit.
Yes.
So the total rent would be about 2,200 total for the duplex.
Yes.
Got it. And you guys listen, everyone that's listening to me, man, I ask Keith all these questions, ask him for a reason. So please take notes if you're new. All right. So 2,200, because you need to understand your market and how much things are renting for. It's very important because when you can't sell to a flipper, but a landlord would buy it because the cash flow is there. Like they can't flip it because there's no margin for them, but they will buy it, fix it up, and keep it as a rental because the cash flow makes sense. All right. And sometimes you get more money out of the people that wants to buy and keep it as a rental versus someone that buy, fix, and flip them. FYI. All right. So, okay. So total rent 22. Okay. Now, Keith, earlier you mentioned that you didn't know anything about construction, all that. How were you able to estimate? I understand you went and met the seller, but how were you estimate without having that construction background to the rehab to be $30K?
So,
was that your original estimate?
Yeah, that was my original estimate.
Okay, and how do you come up with that?
So once I looked at it, I know that you're supposed to do like, I think it was like, I did like $1 amount per square foot to actually come up with that. And I think it was maybe like $35 a square foot.
Okay.
Something like that. It was like for a total gut job or, to replace everything.
Right.
And it was just a rust. And actually, I was pretty close, man, because most of the guys that came out, that's right. I think the highest I ever got was like 35, and some, of course, some of the people could do it a lot cheaper because that's what they do. When you're an investor and you work with a construction crew all the time, of course, they're going to give you a cheaper price than what, if you went out, if you were a new
Yep.
guy finding a construction crew. So one of the guys, he said he could do it. I think they could get it for like 25, maybe 25,000. So I was pretty close.
Yep. So yeah, I mean, Keith, I was just gonna say that based on my experience, dude, 700 square feet, complete gut job is probably gonna be just like a standard grade. Yeah, 25,000. It would have been my estimate. But anyways, so you send it out to your buyer for 148. Now, how do you find this buyer, Keith?
Well, man, I had been building a list of buyers. So like I told you before, I had sent out, I had bandit signs, and I would get, man, people, believe it or not, man, I was getting more buyers calling me than actual sellers, man. Hey, man, you got some properties. Hey, you got properties here. You got some properties, and man, I would just, hey, I don't have anything right now, and I would just get their information, and, I was saving everything. I was actually using a data provider called Real Pro, which had a little small CRM in it. So I would just put them in my little buyers section. I went on some Facebook groups and in the Facebook groups, I would ask, do I have any buyers like in Galveston County? Because that's the county I live in.
Mm-hmm.
Interested in properties in Galveston County, man. You wouldn't believe it, man. The amount of people that would, hey, yeah, man, what you got? Send me what you got. Send me what you got. So, man, I think before I actually got this deal, I probably had about 30 buyers.
Nice.
Before I even got that deal. And
Nice.
plus I got a lot of the buyers too from that initial property I told you about that I never did close.
Yep.
I had a few buyers left from that also.
Nice. So for those of you who always like Khang, you see, this when you're listening to many people, some of you say, well, Khang, should I find the deal first or my cash buyer? Dude, there is no first or last. Or should I find my cash buyer first and then find the deal? Dude, you do them both at the same time. You market to find motivated seller, and you also put an ad up to find your cash buyer. You do it at the same time, man. There is no first or last. Oh, go find the cash buyer and then go find the dude. No, man. Just do them both, right? Like one thing right now, whatever Keith just mentioned, if you just do it right now, your phone will start blowing up just right now. Go to the Facebook group called Wholesaling Houses Full-Time. Drop in a post and say, hey, my partner and I are wholesaling in this area. If you're a cash buyer, if you're a realtor or other wholesaler, would love to work with you and network with you because we might got some potential deals. Dude, just do that, and I promise you, your phone will blow up. You see, Keith, I just came back. Well, not just came back, but I went to Las Vegas for the 100K Club Conference. This is what happened to most people. And my next one, I don't know if I'm gonna get but my next event that I will get invited to, I'm not gonna just talk. But when I get on that stage, I'm gonna start making people start taking action. People were there taking notes, dude. They were there taking notes, but not taking action. Listen to me, man. So guess what, man? I was so at break time, right? There was like an hour and a half breaks. I was sitting there. Right. And then this gal come up, and there was another lady from our web class came up, obviously, to greet me. And I told her, and she hasn't done her first deal. And you guys, I'm sorry to get off track, but this is important because action is the key to your success. Not taking notes, not gathering information, is taking action. So she came up and I was like, so how was the conference? You got a lot of stuff out of it? She said, yeah, I got a lot of information. I said, have you took any action? Have you done anything since yesterday at the meeting? She said, no. Guess what I did, Keith? I told her to pull out her phone. We start putting some ad on Craigslist for buyers, for seller. We start posting things on the wholesaling Facebook group. All right. And then we also, and then I also took her, I think we spent like almost 30 minutes plus. She put her phone there, start putting ad on Craigslist. and start generating some, putting ad for cash buyer. Guess what, man? Just 20 minutes later, and she started out, and she's been doing this for I think she's been learning for the last month or 2 months or whatever, right? And she has a full-time job. She has not done one thing. Keith, literally, man, 20 minutes. I wish I would have captured on camera, because my camera gal was late to. She thought that she was supposed to come at 11 o'clock, but I was there early.
Yeah.
Literally, Keith, 20 minutes later, she came up to me and she's like, Khang, look, guess what? I got a seller that contact me. Now, I don't know if it's motivated or not, right? But I got a seller that just contact me and said they have a property to sell. You see, man, it's about taking the action. So many of you know exactly what you need to do, but you're not doing it, and you're procrastinating, and you keep on finding information and gathering knowledge. Dude, yes. I'm telling you, execute is the key. And yeah, man, I mean, so that's like her first, and she was so excited. But anyways, that's all I want to tell you. It's like, whatever you hear, after this, man, you got to take action right away, or just pause the video, go take action, and jump back on again.
Yeah.
All right. So Keith, now, okay. So I know that you go to those sites and build your cash buyer. So where this buyer came from?
So the buyer that actually, long story, the buyers that came out and looked at the property, like most of those were, like I say, from my buyers list. So I didn't get any of those to buy it.
Okay.
So then I finally ran into this one buyer. He contacted me through Facebook. The property had been on there for like a month, maybe a month. Yeah, about a month.
Facebook
so he contacted me through Facebook. He was really interested in it, you know. So
right.
he came out and he looked at the property. And he was just telling me, man, he said, I really like it. He said, but I really can't do it at that price, you know. So I asked him, I said, well, what price could you do it at? And he was like, man, maybe, I think he told me like 130.
Okay.
He said he could do it at 130. So I said, so if I could get my seller, you know, to go down to 130, you know, you'd go ahead and buy it. And he was like, yeah. He said 130. So, of course, I had to get my assignment fee in. So I end up renegotiating with the seller, and I actually got him down to 120. I actually got him down to 122. So the buyer, he looked at it, but then he wanted to bring his contractor out to look at it. So he looked at it the first day. He brought the contractor out the second day, because he was going to have to squeeze the numbers to kind of get it at that price. So when he came to look at it, man, his contractor, you know, he was on his game, and come to find out, on the bottom level, the roof was not regular. The ceiling would not be regulation. It has to be 7 feet. Mm. So when he measured it, it was already at like 6'10", and that was without flooring and sheetrock. So man, that kind of just crashed that whole little deal right there. So man, I left it on Facebook. I kept in contact with the seller. He was like, man, look, he said, man, I'm gonna let you keep it as long as you want to. He said, he was telling me if I didn't have it sold by December, he said, man, I'm just gonna take it back and finish it myself. So I got an extension. From him all the way to December. So man, this was maybe about 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago, a lady contacted me about the property. She contacted me through one of the Facebook groups also. Okay. And she was like, yeah, I'm really interested in, do you have it for sale? And I was like, yeah, it's still, the contract's still for sale. And she was like, well, when can I come look at it? I had a lockbox on it by then, and I think I was at work. So I told her, I said, hey, you can go out there, you can go out there and look at it. It's a lockbox. So the way I do it is, I don't just give you the code in the group. I ask you to go out to the property, and once you're there at the door, give me a call and then I give you the code. That way I ain't just giving it to them, you know, in a Facebook group, and you never go out there, you're giving it to somebody else. You know, call me once you're at the door.
Come on, man. Shit.
Keith, boom, dude. That is some nuggets right there, bro. That's good, bro. Good.
Yeah. So she called me when she was at the door. I gave her the code. She went in, she looked at it. So she called me back and she was like, well, you know, I can't really do it. You know, like I had it at 1:30 then. She's like, I can't really do it at the 1:30. She tried to get me to go down to like 1:12. I said, so I told her, I said, you know, I said, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do that. You know, I said, I can give it a try, but I doubt it if I'll be able to do it at 1:12. So I didn't hear back from her for like a week or two. So it was getting close. It was getting closer to the, you know, the end date of my contract. So of course I was getting ready. I went out there and took my lockbox off the property. I took the keys, put them in the mail. I put them in the mailbox, and I went on Facebook and just put the property as sold. I was done because I had it under contract since like August, man. And I'm like, man, you know, so when I put it on sold, I promise you, not even 5 minutes later, that same lady called me. She said, hey, she said, you sold it? I was like, no. I was like, you know, I didn't hear back from you, you know, so I didn't think you wanted the property. She said, well, I'll tell you what, I want it. She said, can you do it for me at 125? So I was like, I don't know, 125. I was like, I said, how about 125.5? And she was like, okay, that's a deal. Then I was saying, I asked her, I said, well, I need can you drop off your non-refundable check today? And she was like, yes, of course. She said, I can meet you at like 7 o'clock. And she stayed like maybe about 6 miles from where I'm at. So we met. Well, actually, I sent her the contract through DocuSign immediately. She signed the contract, sent it right back. I met her at like 7 p.m. at a outlet mall we have right down the street from my house. She gave me a check, sent it off to, I sent the contract off to my title company, mailed my check in to the title company, and that was that deal. And she closed on it. I mean, she closed on it immediately. You know, it was no hesitation she signed the paperwork that Friday. I got everything done that Saturday before. She signed the paperwork that Friday. And that's another thing I've learned, that a lot of people investors don't like to do closings on Friday. And that's because they say it's usually you run into issues with funding. You know, if you're getting hard money funding or whatever, a lot of investors say, man, I don't like to do deals on Fridays. I'd rather Monday through Thursday, because Fridays you run into a lot of issues. A lot of people like to leave the office early, or they have plans with their families and they're not there. So Monday through Thursday is probably the best day to do closing, because that's what happened. Didn't get the funding that day, but they had signed all the paperwork, and the funding ended up coming in that Monday, and that deal was done. And that was it.
Boom! Keith dropping another nuggets right there, you guys. So if you ever set your closing Monday through Thursday, and I agree with Keith. I've run into the same problem. We're closing on a Friday. It's a little bit tough, because just like what Keith mentioned, so you want to make sure that you get it closed. Monday to Thursday is probably the closing date that you want to set with your buyers. Yes. Keith, man, I want to say congrats, bro. And thank you so much for coming on and sharing with us your stories and all of that. Now, there's one thing that I want to share with everyone that's listening to is, you see how Keith turned this no deal into a deal? A lot of you are worried that you might lock up a property at a wrong price And because of your fear, it holds you back from doing your first deal because you're not 100% sure if it's a deal or not a deal, and you're hesitant and you worry and all of that. But I'm telling you, if the seller is motivated, if the seller has motivation in there, I'm telling you that lock it up on a contract, do what you need to do, and then your buyer will give you the feedback, right? Your buyer will give you feedback. Don't be afraid that, oh yeah, you know what, Khang, it's my first deal. I'm so scared. It might be wrong. My number might be off. I'm telling you, that fear is holding you back from doing your first deal. Listen, if it's wrong, you can at least learn from it. All right. But now guess what, man? You have something to start talking to your buyers, sending out there, getting more people to look at it, right? You're getting exposure, right? Because people will contact you and say, oh yeah, you know what? Yeah, that number doesn't make sense. I'm interested in that area, but the number doesn't make sense. At least now you'll be like, well, what works for you, right? You can dude, we do it all the time as well. Turn a no deal into a deal. We get a lock up on a contract at the wrong price, right? Buyer comes in. See, when I lock a property up on a contract, here's my key. Here is the key. I just want someone to bite on it. If it's the wrong price, I don't care. I just need someone to bite on it. If no one bites on it, then that's bad, right? Because now you have nobody to talk to. But when somebody bites on it, that's when you know you got something going on here, because you can turn that no deal into a deal because you got a motivated seller. Now you just need that buyer that wants the deal. When they want the deal, just like what Keith did. Oh yeah, you know what? That 130, man, it's not going to work for me. Keith came back and said, well, what will work for you? Now he got a number from a solid buyer that is ready to go. He went back, and all he does is going to do his best and renegotiate with the seller and to make it work. If it works, great. If it doesn't work, no harm, no foul, right? You just back off, and obviously you just part ways. The only thing that I want to share with Keith here on his next deal, Keith, is that so the good thing that you asked the buyer, so what works for you? He said 130. You see, when a buyer say that, Keith, the next thing you should say is, and which you said it, well, I don't know if I can. I'll have to go back and talk to the seller to see if I can make it work. Now, if I can make it work and get the seller to agree, are you ready to move forward to close on this, or do you need to go back and see the property? You want to see that? Because when the buyer say, okay, nope, I'm ready to go, I don't need to go back in, boom, that's what you want. If they say, no, you know what, I'm not exactly sure, I need to get my contractor back, that's when you say, hey, why don't you get your contractor to go back in there and then give me a solid answer? Because I don't want to go to the seller, renegotiates, and then the seller feel like we're playing game. I want to come back. I want to come back to the seller. I want to come in strong, right? Put us in a very, very strong positions to get this deal done for you. So I need like a solid answer. And then also too, is you want to get, hey, how soon can you close if I can get that price work? Now you get a solid commitment from your buyer, and then you go back and renegotiate. It'll put you in such a strong position. Okay.
Yes.
And in this case, if you would ask that, the buyer would say, yeah, you know what? I have to get my contractor to go in there to see it one more time. No problem. Get the contractor, go in there and see it one more time, and then get a solid answer. That way you don't fall into the place where, you went back, renegotiated like Keith did at 122, came back to the buyer. Buyer's like, oh, you know what? I have to get my contractor. Now he's second guessing. So he went now he can't do the 130 no more. So for Keith, it's like, okay, well, now he doesn't even want the property. So Keith is stuck. So
I actually did that on that second deal though. That second deal was, oh man, that sucker was so smooth. I had that under contract and closed within 15 days. And it was like you said, like you do, you said, look, I remember you always saying, look, you got one shot to come out and look at the property. After that, that's it. So what I did with that second deal was I set up a date. Actually, the owners were still in the property. So I set up a date, and I had 3 buyers come out. I say, look, you got one time to come out. So if you need to bring your contractor with you, bring your contractor. This is it. So after we go out and look at the property, I'm just going to take the highest bid, and that'll be it. So on the second one, we went out. Well, actually, they went out because I did this one virtually.
Nice.
I did this one virtually. My VA, she did the inbound. I did the outbound. Got it under contract for 133. Set a date. Like I told him, I told the seller that I was going to have, some of my partners come out. Some of my partners and a couple of contractors come out and, actually verify everything on the property. Man, they went out, they verified everything, they left. They all called back, gave me their offers. And one guy, he had the highest offer. So, I mean, it wasn't very much money to be made because the property was in great condition. It only needed minor stuff. Like I think the one guy, he said, man, all he was going to do for it, he was going to repaint it, put granite. It had it had one tile that was broken. He was going to repaint the interior and the exterior. I think power wash like the driveway and stuff, and refinish the hardwood floors. And the estimated repairs from him ended up just being like $12,000.
Nice.
That was it.
So
the house was actually in great condition. The people wanted to move because they were moving from a 1,900 square foot house and they had just bought a 3,500 square foot house, which they were trying to close on in December. So they wanted to get a little money out of the property, man, and just be done with it.
Nice.
That deal was like under contract and closed within 15 days. And he actually signed the paperwork the same day that the other lady signed her paperwork and picked up both of the checks on that Monday.
Boom. Yeah, baby. So that's the one for 5,000, right? The second one?
Yes.
Nice, Keith. Congrats, man. So for those of you, you want to make sure that you control your deal and prep and set your intention up with your buyer and with your seller. So if they are a tire kicker, right, when you tell them, hey, this is a one-time walkthrough / inspection. So you bring your lender, you bring your partner, you bring your contractor, whoever you need to bring, and give me a date that all will work for you. I'll set it up for you, right? But I want you to let you know it's a one-time walkthrough because, dude, you don't want the buyer to come back. When they come back multiple times, dude, things are going to come up. They're going to get cold feet, and it's going to cost you a deal, okay? And listen, man, everything I share with you guys is not something you can read in a book, dude. This is all me going through my personal experience for the past 8 years that I've been doing this business, man. You see, turning a no deal into a deal, dude, like, who tell you that? And also, too, those of you who listen to people that said, hey, you know what? Don't lock a property up under contract unless you know that you can for sure sell it.
Come on, man. Shit.
Listen, man, if that is the tech that you are going to go with, I promise you, dude, that it's going to take you a long, long time to get your first deal. Because when you're starting out, right? When you're starting out, unless you are the buyer, I'm telling you, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to get deals that falls apart. We still do it till today. There is no 100% sure unless you are the actual buyer. There is no 100% sure. So I'm telling you, if you're waiting to like, oh, I don't want, I don't want it to cost my reputation and all that, or you listen to people say, hey, unless you are for sure, you cannot do that. I'm telling you that if you think like that, it's going to take you forever. I mean, agree or disagree, comment below and let me know. All you can do is be upfront with the seller, all right, and do the best you can. So if you're not 100% sure, you let the seller know, hey, you know what? Here's what I'm going to do, right? There's going to, and I want you to understand that there's going to be, you're going to give us this amount of time for us to send our contract to go in there. We got to verify everything right before we move to closing. So I want you to understand that. If you are concerned, then you can say that. But I'm telling you that there is no 100% sure. All right. And if you are listening to people that say, hey, I don't lock anything up unless I sell it, listen to me. They probably only do one deal a year, two, like they don't do enough deal, dude. Or they are the actual buyer. If you're wholesaling on volumes, dude, you're gonna have to do falls apart. And especially when you first start and when you first learn this business, man, you are gonna fall. The deals are gonna fall apart. Maybe you lock up your first, your second, your third deal. It's not gonna go through. But guess what, man? Through all of those failure, you learn from it. And that's how you close your first deal, dude. Okay. So I'm just giving you the real world. All right. I'm just being real with you. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything and say, hey, you know, I don't, dude, no, I have deals fall apart, man. Right. And I'm telling you, if you're concerned, then you just got to tell the seller, hey, you know, okay, so we agree on this price, but I want to let you know that we are going to send our contractor out just to verify all the information on the property, make sure it's correct. If it's correct, everything you told us, there's no reason why we couldn't move forward to closing. You know, if it's not, then I want you to understand that we will have to come back and we'll have to discuss and we have to talk to you, but still how we can make this work. All right. There it is. All right. So I want to let you guys know that. But anyways, Keith, we're running out of time. I want to say thank you so much for jumping on. I want to ask you one last question, man. The VA, did you hire that yourself or was that VA from VA Dream Team?
No, I didn't get her from you, Khang. It was actually before. It was kind of before you started. I think you may have been starting right at the same time when I was.
It's all cool, man. So where did you get your VA?
It was actually, I think it's 247 va.com. I had kind of just reached out in the group.
Sure. No problem, man. 247vas.com. You see, I asked Keith that because I feel like our VA service, there is no competition. Now, let me ask you this, Keith. When you get your VAs, were they pre-trained? Were they pre-trained on how to talk to seller, or is that something you have to do?
No, so she had a lot of real estate experience, you know. She had been doing it for like 5 years. She was familiar with the dial I was using, because I was using like IQ dial before I switched to call tools. She was familiar with Podio, because actually I used, you know, I know when we joined the group, you sent us out the marketing package, and you know, I watched your wife video and, you know, talking to them about making sure you're interviewing them and not just accepting whatever VA they gave you. So they sent me, they gave me, we got on Skype. I had like 3 VAs and I went through and I asked the questions. And I remember your wife was saying like important questions are like, you know, she didn't really hire people that had kids, because regardless of what they tell you, you know, when they're on the clock, they're going to have to tend to their kids, because most VAs work from home.
Yep.
Make sure English was good and that she was familiar with everything that I was going to be doing. So the only thing that was different for her was the script, you know, using your inbound script. So I sent her the script and I just reinforced that like all the time. Hey, it's important that you study the script. I understand it's a lot different. We ask a lot more. We get a lot more information than what you normally would get, because they're usually used to just setting the appointment, you know, setting an appointment, and then you go out and you do all the rest of everything. So I sent her the script. She studied it. We did some mock cold calls where she would call me, or you know, I would call in, and I just making sure she was following the script and everything, you know. And we've worked through a lot of, you know, the issues. You know, I listen to her phone calls, you know, and I may go back, hey, okay, well, you missed this question. And she, you know, and she's real good about, you know, correcting it and not letting it happen again, you know. She's real good about apologizing. She'd be like, you know, I apologize, and I know, you know, I understand, you know, that you're used to doing it one way, and doing it this way is something that's totally different. But you know, ever since then, you know, she's real good, man. Actually, her name is Mel. You know, so I want to give a shout out to Mel.
Shout out to Mel. Good.
You know, if it wasn't for her, I probably wouldn't have gotten a deal. I ain't gonna say I wouldn't have gotten a deal, but you know, she was able. The reason I hired a VA, and I know a lot of people are against hiring a VA, you know, when you don't have your first deal. But like I said, you know, I had a pretty good job. So when I got into the wholesaling, I had a little money set aside to kind of invest in. The only reason I hired a VA is because of my work schedule. My work schedule is so inconsistent that I couldn't consistently cold call at the right times, because I work days, I work nights. So I'm at work, I'm at work in the evening time sometime, and then, you know, sometimes I don't get off till 6 o'clock. So at 6, I might have a good 2 hours to cold call, you know, or the days when I work nights, the only time I could cold call was in the morning. So I wanted some consistency in my business. So that was my purpose of hiring a VA. That way I could have somebody cold calling for me almost every single day. So she cold calls 5 days out of the week, which is Tuesday through Saturday for me.
Right.
And I'll do some cold calling on Monday whenever,
Nice.
you know, my schedule, you know, gives me time.
Nice. You guys, Keith, I'm sorry, man. But we're running out of time. Like, listen, man, there is no competitions when it comes to my wife VA's dream teams, because these VAs, she has already been pre-trained them with the King Kong script. There is no VA service out there that pre-train your VAs on how to talk to seller to help you filter, qualify your leads, or cold call for you. Now, there is, like I said, there is no competition. So if you want to go and check it out, 247vas.com, that's where Keith hired. Or if you want to hire your own VAs, you can also go to upwork.com. Upwork.com. When you're unsatisfied with that, then shoot me an email for VA Stream Team. You can follow on Facebook. Check out a ton of the killer testimonial, and it'll speak for itself. Facebook group is, Facebook page is VAS Dream Team. Or if you have any questions, you can shoot an email over to sales, SALES, at VASDreamTeam.com. Listen, there is no competition out there, okay? So if you don't believe me, go ahead and try the sites. But first of all, I want to say congrats to Keith. You know, it's like, dude, your employee is good or not, it's depending on how good of a leader you are. So it shows that Keith is a good leader. You know, so he knows how to train, he knows to talk to his employee and all of that. So good for you, man. Good for you. And I'm happy and I'm excited for Keith. And now, Keith, just to wrap it up, man, I know that people probably want to connect with you and have questions or do deals together. Where can they reach out and connect with you, buddy?
So on Facebook, I have a business page which is Exclusive Housing Solutions. I also have my personal Facebook, which is Keithan Herrings SR. And I also have an Instagram, which is exclusive_housing_solutions. So
Keith,
you can reach me on either three.
Okay, bro. So Keith, if you can email all of those over, and then I'll have Keith, my web guy, pop it in to the descriptions. All right.
Okay.
Keith, I want to say thank you so much. And also to everyone that's listening, if you haven't followed me on Instagram, hit me up on IG, go to Khang, KHANG.WTM. On there, you'll see that I'll post a check to Keith. Also too is, for those of you, I really appreciate each and every single one of you. Helps to grow the family, all the love, all the support. I want to say thank you so much. And for those of you who's trying to get your first deal, I want to say good luck. And I want to tell you that you got to take massive action and don't let anything or anybody hold you back from accomplishing your dreams. Because if Keith can do it, and if I can do it as high school dropout, if we both can do this, there is no reason why you can't. I want to say thank you so much, Keith. Have a great rest of your day, bro.
You too. And hey, join that web class. Join that 2K web class, man. I promise you, it's worth it.
Keith, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. Until next time, you guys, take care and ciao.
Ciao.